mention of rain in the forecast, and we are looking good. Right now, we got Living Darian, Lost in Your Eyes, right here at KISS 104.7.
I am still living Darian, no one else. Yeah, man, I was 6 years old watching the Grammys. On my feet, dancing, Michael Jackson. Billie Jean, first time he ever moonwalked. After it was done, I said out loud, that's what I want to do when I grow up. I was born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio, where I still reside today. When I was born, my father was actually on a world tour, as he had been for the previous year. So he didn't even know my mother was pregnant. When he got back from Japan, he was with a couple of his girlfriends, and my mother walked in holding the baby. He asked her if it was his, and she told him no, but she had put his name on the birth certificate. So that's how I knew his name all these years later.
And that chance to win is on the way. Right now I have brand new music for you. The name of this artist, Living Darian. And the name of the song, Hold My Heart. Check it out. It's KISS 104.7.
My mother was diagnosed with cervical cancer. I was 2 or 3. She started going to church. And as her condition deteriorated, she asked a lady at church to take us. And she said she would. And when I was 4, my mother died. And the lady from church took us in, had me baptized. But we only lived there for about a little over a year, I think, before we were taken out by social services for sexual abuse. Yeah, I was in 13 different homes over the next 3 years until I was placed and adopted by Marilyn and Bill Pellman, the 2 people that saved my life. And it was here that I first got a radio, and then I could listen to songs all day. I could listen to music whenever I wanted. And that was a big change. I talked them into letting me play the drums. Then my mother got me a snare drum. And so I took drum lessons on the snare drum. And I wanted a set, obviously. But I played and took snare drum lessons for probably some years. Then I finally got my set. I was like 13 maybe. Within a year I played my first wedding. That was decent. I used to change the radio dial. As soon as the commercial came on, I changed the radio dial to whatever the next station was, whatever song that was playing. That's what I'm playing. Then I just play it, no matter if I liked it or not. Until that song went off, commercial came on, I changed the radio station again. Whatever song I heard first, that's what I'm playing. And that's what I did, so I could eventually play anything. My first influences were Prince, Michael Jackson, Lionel Richie,
How could I be such a fool?
80s rock, Van Halen, Cinderella, Scorpions, Phil Collins. He sing and play the drums. Then it was Tupac, Scarface, UGK, gangster rap basics. Before I wrote songs, I wrote poems. I think I started writing to relieve some of the pain. Lyrics are a big deal to me. I feel like that's how we make the connection to a song. The words connect our different experiences, make them feel the same. The emotion of each chord and note, I think, it has to build that bridge to the lyrics to find their way into the heart of the listener. Music has always been my way of speaking up and speaking out. For real. My song, one song, came from the energy of the world at that time, and I just had to let it out. That song changed everything for me. I saw firsthand that music can change things, change people's lives, little ways and big ways. My last album, Live for Love, was focused mainly on the listener. I wanted to help people to stay positive, you know, be able to weather any storm. It was almost a motivational album for me as well as the listener. And it was really cool to read messages every day from people telling me how a certain song helped them get through a really hard time or even just study all night. So that's cool for me. That's really why I started writing songs in the first place. I think when I first started, I was just trying to do anything that sounded alright, usually involving doing what other people did. As I matured, I wanted to tell my story, you know, and do what I want to do. So now that I'm capable of doing anything I really can conceive, I kind of make music as a release still, but now I do it with the listener in mind, you know, keeping in mind the responsibility of the emotional outcome of the song. My best music comes from inspiration, and the inspiration is what starts every one of my songs. It could be an idea of the whole song, a sample, or just a note or a chord. So I start every song from something different, but my process is always the same. I just press record, and then I figure out what I want to play as I play it. Even with vocals, I'll record a few vocal tracks before I even have lyrics wrote. So, being that my childhood was painful and lonesome, really, I went hungry, physical and sexual abuse, and I was truly alone in the world at 4 years old. So I had to learn to deal with hardship, pain, and suffering so young that I got used to it. So I became unshakable. But it's that confidence that's instilled in me that lets me fight through the things that are really hard. You know, my whole life, people closest to me kind of laughed at the fact that I wanted to be a professional recording artist. But that just made me more determined to succeed. I think they might have overlooked or forgotten the drive that's been instilled in me. There ain't no such thing as giving up. No. I think I'm most proud of the family that I've created, because through them I've come to learn and understand and experience love. Without them, I don't know if that would have ever happened. As far as my career goes, my proudest moments were probably getting word that I was in the pool for a Grammy for one song, and hearing my music on the radio for the first time was definitely a big deal for me. There have been records, you know, that I worked on before with other producers, lots of producers, and had features with lots of people. Get a more dynamic sound, and a lot of the times it's just more fun to play with other people. It's always been a benefit to be able to change things or even start completely over. I do that a lot. What I do like about the industry now and where it's headed is that it's becoming really friendly towards the indie artist. And I think that allows the younger artists to focus on making music for the listeners, the fans, instead of music executive, because it's always better when the art comes from the heart instead of trying to sound like somebody else. And my favorite tracks on the album are probably The Journey and Blue Skies. The Journey is a song I wrote for my kids, specifically my daughter, but with a theme that everybody could appreciate. You know, the journey is a metaphor for life, and that's an adventure. So the whole album is an adventure, full of ups and downs. And the other one is Blue Skies. It's like I can't get enough of Blue Skies. I can always listen to Blue Skies. Like, I don't know, there's something special. It's just so different. It's not even, it's somewhere between hip hop and the blues. But it depends on who's listening. It could be a hip hop song or somebody else, it could be a blues song, but it's somewhere in that direction. But I like it. That's just one of my favorite. I don't even know why. But I don't know. My advice to anybody, no matter what you do, is don't give up. The thing I tell myself is there's nothing you can't do. I tell myself that countless times a week, multiple times a day. I mean, I think it's because I never had anybody to tell me that there's nothing you can't do. But it's what I believe, and it's how I live. So the most rewarding aspect of being a recording artist really is to be a part of so many people's lives. Having the privilege of touching those hearts and minds, and being privileged enough to be a part of their journey.
I'll be right there by your side when it's hard to catch your breath.